So today we're back on the K100, and what I'm hoping to do today is get this injector that I think is sticky and a little bit dirty swapped out. So I've got a spare from when I was swapping things around, and I picked up a different fuel rail because I don't like the look of this one. But I'm hoping to do is just literally swap this out and see if all four cylinders and the exhaust pipes get hot. Now, to make that easier, because I'm going to have to keep depressurizing and pressurizing this, I'm actually going to swap out this fuel line and put in place a quick disconnect so that I don't have to keep unscrewing here, because the tank's going to have to come off quite a bit in the next foreseeable little while, because I've got to check the radiator and cooling system, and to get to the radiator fill cap you have to take the tank off, which is an utter pain in the ass. So to make that easier, rather than unscrewing every time, I'm just going to disconnect this, because what this does is when you disconnect it, fluid can't flow through, so I don't have to keep clamping this off. And that should then allow me to easily take off the tank, get to my radiator fill point, check everything out, and also easier access to where the air filter, because the tank will be easy to take off. Now, I'm not sure about the return fuel line, whether it's something that's going to be important to do there as well, but I'm going to try with that and see how we get on. I'm probably going to regret this and probably end up having to buy another one to do the return fuel line here. So that's the aim of today. Fit this in place here somewhere, probably quite high up, I would have thought, probably about there. And then unscrew these, pop all this out, unclip this fuel injector off, connect this one in its place, and see if everything gets hot. So first things first, I think I'm going to clamp all this off and disconnect that, make a cut, and put this in place. All right, see you in a second. I was sat here wondering why it was leaking, and I left it connected, which was kind of stupid. So now, before I do this one, I am going to do the fuel injector, because that way I can drip out any pressure that's in there first. And then hopefully that's the good way of doing this. So okay, let's see if these will lift out. Yup. Okay, that came out relatively easy. So there's this retaining clip here that retains the injector onto the rail, and then should, it says, let's have a cloth just in case I spill more fuel over this already shitty paintwork. Be able to just, there we go, and as expected, all over the paintwork. Let's dry that off. At this point, there's more fuel on this paintwork than there is on anything else in this bloody bike. Right. Now, to take these clips off, they're a bit of a pain. I really hate this style, but you have to kind of lever out the side to release. There we go. The same on this side. pick would be better than a small screwdriver, but I can't remember where I put my picks. There we go. So that's the old Injector. Again, visually, you can never see anything wrong with them. So hopefully this new one is going to slot right in. Okay, and then the clip. Clip it in there. Nice and secure. And this should just clip back on. Slot into place. That was actually really painless. Now, oh, interestingly, while I've got you here, I'll show you the state of this engine. You look down there, you can see how just rusted up and in need of love everything is. So once I've got this running, it might be a strip down job. Right. So now let's get this back together. You've got to get special pliers and clips like this. So I didn't fancy using these type. I like the look of these. I don't know what they're called, but they're fancy. I felt special. That feels like it's as tight as it's going to go. Hopefully that's tight enough. Right, let's try and get these injectors back in. This should just clip up. Now that kink might need to be shortened here just to, because that's really kinked out. I did not think this through when I put that. I should have cut it up here. Well, you live and learn. Okay, so all we have to do now is start the bike and see what happens. Okay, no fuel leak. Right, got nothing. Let's try putting the jump pack on, see if it gets needs a bit more power. And now wondering what else it could be. I've got good voltage because it's turning over at decent speed. Should I go quickly check to see if I've lost spark? All I'm wondering is if I flooded it. Right, that's somewhat worrying because it was running, albeit on 3, but it was running. What I'm wondering, have I disturbed something electrical, or is that not flowing enough fuel? But I would expect a couple of little pops and bangs if not something. So is there a problem in this wiring? I've hooked up a jump pack, so it should have plenty of fuel. Now, admittedly, I'm not playing with the throttle much. So let me try a fast idle. Yeah, not even a single spark. all I'm thinking is when I pulled them off, did I just completely soak all the spark plugs? Because they've just been, when I pulled that off, a bit of fuel maybe leaked out and just exposed them all. So what I might do is take out a couple of spark plugs and give them a look over. So we'll see what that does. This is off of one, and as you look, it's sopping wet. So I think, yeah, I've basically flooded the cylinder head and it needs to dry out. Not cylinder head, sorry, flooded the spark plug. As you can see how wet it is on the paper there. So I'm going to give these a bit of a dry and see if we can put them back in. They were all a bit wet and filthy, so I've dried them off a bit. But now I left the ignition on while I was doing that, so it's not much of a kick. Which makes me wonder now, are those spark plugs too foul to work? Or am I just running short on battery power because I've had to connect up the booster pack, give me some boost. I wonder if the chamber itself is flooding, needs to kind of air out. And I'm just really not helping matters. So I do wonder if that's just me because I drained the battery down when I spilt fuel down there, or flooded the cylinders. So I'm not sure what's the best approach from here. Thinking I might let all this dry out for a few days because I'm obviously in no hurry. That injector's at least swapped. That fuel line's in place, so that's good. I need to recharge this battery now because this battery is dead as a dodo. You can hear my power pack clicking in the background. And I think that's where I'm going to have to stop here. Not a huge amount of success. I know it fires, and I know everything should work, which makes me think it's basically me flooding it. And I don't know how to best dry it out. Do I have to dry out the boards? This is all stuff I've never really encountered so much before. When it's flooded, I've wiped them off with a tissue on the spark plugs, but should I just swap out, put fresh spark plugs in there? Because I do have 3 from my set of 4 when I had to replace number 2. So 1, 3, and 4 are the original spark plugs. I can hear clicking coming from here, which I think is the sound of all the injectors. So I can hear those injectors firing. I can hear the fuel tank firing. I think I've just flooded it somehow. And now with the battery pack dying, I think I'm going to have to call it here for today. But at least the quick disconnect seems to work nicely. There's no fuel leak going through. So that's going to be easier to maintain going forwards. I mean, effectively, I've lost this much line, but it makes it easier to access things, so that's good. Yeah, really unsuccessful, but I'm making some progress, I think. I will have to read up on the flooding and see if there's something I'm doing wrong, what I should be doing. So if anyone has any suggestions on what I'm doing to cause all this flooding, how long it takes to dry out, what's the best way to dry out so I can keep trying, I'd like to know, because I only have so many hours to play on the bike, and one of the things I'd like to do is actually keep it running for a bit longer. All right, so any suggestions, let me know. Thanks very much for watching. If anyone wants to know where they get these quick disconnects from, the internet, I went straight on eBay, looked for quick disconnects for shut off. That's what I came across. So that's easier, although the fuel does shut off when it disconnects there. So it's unnecessary except for to relieve the pressure in the fuel line. So that's going to be nice. I shouldn't be squirting any more fuel everywhere. Other than that, swapping out the injector, really nice and easy. Those clips aren't too bad. But you can see I've got a lot of work to do once this bike is up and running. So hopefully this will dry out in the next few days. The battery pack will charge up and we'll be able to go from there. All right, thanks very much.